Italy is currently grappling with the devastating aftermath of Storm Harry, a powerful Mediterranean cyclone, Metacane, that has battered the peninsula over the last 72 hours. With wind speeds reaching up to 160 kilometers per hour and unprecedented rainfall levels, the storm has caused widespread destruction, claiming lives, displacing thousands, and paralyzing the nation's infrastructure. Storm Harry intensified rapidly over the Tyrrhenian Sea on January 18th, fueled by abnormally warm sea surface temperatures. Meteorologists from the Aeronautica Military Weather Service labeled the event a once-in-a-century storm. By the evening of January 19th, the storm made landfall along the coasts of Lazio and Tuscany, before sweeping across the Apennine Mountains toward the Adriatic coast. In less than 24 hours, regions such as Emilia-Romagna and Marche received over 400 millimeters of rain, nearly half of their annual average. This extreme precipitation triggered immediate flash floods and mudslides in mountainous areas. The region, still recovering from previous climate events, saw 15 rivers overflow simultaneously. In Cesena and Forlì, residents were forced onto rooftops to escape rising waters. The Italian Civil Protection Agency, Protezione Civile, deployed helicopters and rubber boats for emergency extractions. Despite the Meuse flood barrier system being fully activated, the sheer force of the storm surge combined with heavy rain created localized flooding in the historic center. The City of Venice official portal reported that water levels reached critical thresholds, testing the city's multi-billion euro defense system to its limits. Strong winds uprooted centuries-old trees in Florence and Pisa, damaging several historical structures and disrupting power lines for over 200,000 households. As of Wednesday evening, the Ministry of the Interior has confirmed 12 fatalities, with 5 people still reported missing in the Marche region. Most casualties were linked to sudden landslides or individuals trapped in submerged vehicles. Over 25,000 people have been evacuated from their homes. Temporary shelters have been established in gyms, schools, and parish halls. The Italian Red Cross, Croce Rossa Italiana, is on the ground providing medical assistance, blankets, and psychological support to those who have lost everything. The high-speed line between Milan and Rome was suspended for 36 hours due to debris on the tracks and electrical failures. Major sections of the A1 Autostrada, the Highway of the Sun, were closed due to visibility issues and flooding. Hundreds of flights at Rome Fiumicino and Milan Malpensa were canceled or diverted, leaving thousands of travelers stranded. Agriculture, a cornerstone of the Italian economy, has also been devastated. Thousands of hectares of vineyards and olive groves in central Italy are underwater, with the Coldiretti Farmers Association estimating preliminary damages at over 2 billion euros. Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, returning early from an international summit, chaired an emergency cabinet meeting today. The government has officially declared a state of emergency for the 5 most affected regions, allocating an initial recovery fund of 500 million euros. Italy is facing a climate challenge of unprecedented proportions, the Prime Minister stated during a press briefing. Our priority is saving lives and ensuring no citizen is left alone in this tragedy. We will rebuild, and we will make our infrastructure more resilient to the changing climate. Climate scientists at the Euro-Mediterranean Center on Climate Change, CMCC, emphasize that Storm Harry is a direct manifestation of global warming. The Metacanes are becoming more frequent and intense as the Mediterranean Sea acts as a heat reservoir, providing the energy required for such violent storm systems. While the core of Storm Harry is now moving toward the Balkans, the Italian Civil Protection Department maintains a red alert for parts of the Adriatic coast. There are lingering concerns regarding the stability of dams and the risk of secondary landslides as the soil remains saturated. While much of Italy has felt the wrath of Storm Harry, the Strait of Messina has become the epicenter of a localized meteorological catastrophe. The city of Messina and its surrounding coastal villages are currently facing a state of absolute emergency as the Metacane, Mediterranean hurricane, made a direct hit on the northeastern tip of Sicily, bringing record-breaking storm surges and torrential rainfall. The disaster began in the early hours of January 20th, when Storm Harry's eye passed through the Strait of Messina. A phenomenon known as a water bomb, cloudburst, struck the Peloritani mountain range behind the city. Within just 6 hours, the Regional Civil Protection of Sicily recorded over 350 millimeters of rain, a volume of water that the steep terrain could not absorb. By dawn, the dry riverbeds, known locally as fiumare, transformed into raging torrents of mud, debris, and cars, sweeping down toward the sea and cutting through the heart of residential districts. The urban center of Messina has been paralyzed. The coastal road, Via Libertà, was completely submerged by the sea as waves exceeding 8 meters crashed over the seawalls. One of the busiest ports in the Mediterranean saw its operations grind to a halt. Several ferries connecting Sicily to the mainland, Villa San Giovanni, were damaged while docked, and the ferry terminals are currently flooded. The historic Ganziri and Torrefaro districts, located at the narrowest point of the strait, have been isolated. Rising sea levels combined with the overflow of the Pantano lakes have submerged ground floor apartments and local businesses. The University of Messina has suspended all activities. Emergency rooms at the Policlinico G. Martino are operating on backup generators as the primary power grid failed late Tuesday night. Memories of the tragic 2009 mudslides have resurfaced as the southern suburbs of Giampilieri and Scaletta Zanclea bore the brunt of the landslide activity. Reports indicate that several mudslides have blocked the A18 motorway and the National Road, SS 114, effectively cutting off Messina from Catania. Search and rescue teams from the Vigili del Fuoco, firefighters, are working in hazardous conditions to reach isolated homes. Drone footage shows entire hillsides that have given way, burying vehicles and obstructing the vital railway line that connects the island to the rest of Italy. The Prefecture of Messina has confirmed 4 fatalities in the metropolitan area, including an elderly couple whose home was engulfed by mud in the Santa Lucia, Sopra Contesse district. More than 1,200 people have been evacuated from high-risk hydrogeological zones. The mayor of Messina has issued an urgent plea for additional resources, stating, "The city is wounded. We are dealing with a volume of water that no drainage system in the world could handle. We need the national government to recognize the unique fragility of our territory." The Blueferries and Carante and tourist services remain suspended due to extreme sea turbulence, leaving thousands of heavy trucks stranded on both sides of the strait. Rete Ferroviaria Italiana, RFI, has announced that the line between Messina and Syracuse is severely damaged and may take weeks to repair. The Fiumefreddo aqueduct, which provides the city's drinking water, has suffered a major breach due to a landslide, leaving 60% of the population without running water. The local economy, heavily reliant on maritime trade and tourism, faces a grim outlook. The fishing fleets in the strait have suffered immense losses, with dozens of boats destroyed or sunk. Preliminary estimates from the Sicily region suggest that the damage to infrastructure in the Messina province alone exceeds 800 million euros. Climate experts at the University of Catania explain that the funnel effect of the Strait of Messina amplified Storm Harry's winds, creating a venturi effect that intensified the storm's destructive power, specifically in this narrow corridor. The Italian government has extended the state of emergency to include the metropolitan city of Messina. The Italian army has been deployed to assist in clearing mud from the streets and to set up field kitchens for the displaced. Road conditions are unstable. Many asphalt surfaces have hollowed out underneath. For those who still have water access, boiling is recommended until the Fiumefreddo aqueduct is repaired. Contact the 112 Universal Emergency or the Civil Protection Hotline for immediate assistance. As the rain finally begins to ease on the evening of January 21st, the focus shifts from survival to recovery. However, with more light rain forecasted for the weekend, the risk of further landslides remains red level for the entire Ionian coast of Sicily. Meanwhile, the city of Catania is currently facing one of its most severe meteorological crises in decades as Storm Harry, a powerful Mediterranean hurricane, continues to batter the eastern coast of Sicily. Since the late hours of January 19th, the city and its surrounding metropolitan area have been subjected to torrential rainfall, catastrophic flash floods, and hurricane-force winds that have transformed the historic city center into a series of rivers. Storm Harry's impact on Catania has been uniquely intensified by its proximity to Mount Etna. As the storm's moisture-laden winds hit the volcanic slopes, orographic lifting occurred, forcing the clouds to dump massive amounts of precipitation directly over the city and the Simeto Valley. The Regional Meteorological Service of Sicily, SIAS, reported that Catania received 420 millimeters of rain in a 24-hour period, nearly two-thirds of its average annual rainfall. This led to a flash flood scenario, where the urban drainage system was overwhelmed within the first hour of the storm's peak. The city's main thoroughfare, Via Etnea, became a raging torrent of water flowing down from the higher districts toward the sea. The historic Piazza del Duomo, home to the Elephant Fountain, was submerged under nearly a meter of water, with debris and volcanic sand clogging the ancient drainage tunnels. The traditional fish market area, located in a natural depression, suffered total immersion. Stall equipment and local goods were swept away into the sea. In the Librino and San Giuseppe Larena districts, the flooding reached the first floors of apartment buildings. Hundreds of families were forced to move to higher levels as the Simeto River breached its banks to the south of the city. The official airport site announced a total suspension of flights on January 20th. The runways were submerged, and the terminal buildings suffered significant roof leaks and electrical failures. Thousands of passengers are currently housed in emergency shelters near the airport. The A18, Catania-Messina, and A19, Catania-Palermo motorways have seen multiple closures due to landslides and flooding near the exits. Rail services to Syracuse and Enna are suspended indefinitely as several sections of track have been washed away. The Enel Green Power Grid reported that over 80,000 residents in the Catania province are without electricity due to fallen pylons and flooded substations. The death toll in the Catania metropolitan area has risen to 5 confirmed fatalities. Among the victims were 2 individuals trapped in a submerged car in the village of Scordia, an area notorious for its vulnerability to flash floods. The Vigili del Fuoco, National Fire Corps, have performed over 1,500 interventions in 48 hours. Using amphibious vehicles and helicopters, rescuers have plucked residents from rooftops in the industrial zone and the coastal hamlets. The Italian Red Cross, Croce Rossa, has established a major operations hub at the Kimbali Stadium to provide food and medical care to those displaced. The Piana di Catania, one of Italy's most important citrus-growing regions, is facing an agricultural disaster. Thousands of hectares of blood orange groves are under 2 meters of water. The Farmers Union, Coldiretti Sicilia, warns that the salt and mud deposits left by the storm may damage the trees for years to come. Preliminary economic losses for the Catania district are estimated at over 1.2 billion euros. The Etna Valley, Catania's tech hub, has also seen significant disruptions, with several semiconductor and pharmaceutical plants suspending operations due to flooding and logistics failures. The president of the Sicilian region has requested the immediate activation of the EU Solidarity Fund. Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni is expected to visit Catania tomorrow, weather permitting. The mayor of Catania, in a televised address via the City of Catania's official portal, urged citizens to remain indoors. The danger is not over, the ground is saturated, and the risk of further landslides on the slopes of Etna remains extreme. Do not go out to check on property. Lives are our only priority right now. Climate scientists from the Euro-Mediterranean Center on Climate Change note that the Mediterranean is warming faster than the global average, creating fuel for Medicanes like Harry. This event has reignited the debate over Catania's aging infrastructure and the need for a massive overhaul of the city's flood defense systems to cope with the new normal of the climate crisis. Meanwhile, coastal Sicily has been battered by storm surges. The inland province of Caltanissetta is currently facing a silent but equally deadly disaster. Storm Harry, the powerful Mediterranean hurricane, has stalled over the center of the island, dumping unprecedented amounts of rainfall on the high-altitude plains and clay-rich hillsides of the Niceno territory. The result has been a series of catastrophic landslides, the collapse of vital road networks, and the total isolation of several rural municipalities. Unlike the fast-moving front seen in northern Italy, Storm Harry's center slowed down as it crossed the Sicilian interior. Between the evening of January 19th and today, the Regional Civil Protection of Sicily reported that the Caltanissetta weather station recorded 320 millimeters of rain, nearly 5 months' worth of precipitation in less than 48 hours. The geological composition of the province, primarily consisting of clay and marl, has become hypersaturated. This has led to slow-moving but massive landslides that are physically shifting entire sections of provincial roads and agricultural land. Large sections of the road have buckled due to subsidence, forcing the evacuation of 3 apartment blocks. Flooding in the lower parts of the city has submerged warehouses and small businesses. The Santa Lucia hospital is currently operating under emergency protocols. While the facility remains functional, many medical staff members from surrounding towns like San Cataldo have been unable to reach the hospital due to blocked roads. These municipalities are effectively cut off. The primary arterial roads, including the SS 189, Palermo-Agrigento, which passes through the province, have been blocked by mud and rockfalls. Residents are reporting shortages of fresh food and medicine as supply trucks cannot penetrate the mud-clogged valleys. To the south of the province, the city of Gela has faced a different threat. The Gela River has overflowed, inundating the Piana di Gela Plain. Industrial sites and archaeological zones have been flooded, and the port remains closed due to massive waves and debris discharge from the river. The Prefecture of Caltanissetta has confirmed 2 missing persons in the rural area of Butera, feared to have been swept away while trying to secure livestock. Over 800 people have been displaced across the province. The Vigili del Fuoco, firefighters, have deployed specialized USAR, urban search and rescue teams to the area. Because many roads are impassable, the Italian army, Esercito Italiano, has been called in to use heavy earth-moving equipment to reopen vital links to isolated villages. The prefect of Caltanissetta issued a statement this morning. "We are facing a logistical nightmare. The fragility of our soil has been exposed by Storm Harry. Our priority is to reach every isolated family and ensure they have water, food, and heat, as temperatures in the hills are dropping." The region of Sicily has declared the province a priority zone for the upcoming reconstruction funds, acknowledging that the inland areas often suffer longer recovery times than coastal cities.